Prince Harry is furious. People close to him say they haven't seen him this angry in years. His face is red, he's pacing back and forth, and he can barely breathe because he's so mad. The Paris trip was supposed to be private, a quiet moment for him and Meghan to go to an event and leave without being noticed. Instead, it turned into a disaster. When he saw Meghan's video from the Ponte de Lama, the tunnel where his mother died, something inside him broke. To the rest of the world, it probably looked like just another polished video for her followers. To Harry, it felt like a betrayal. That place was sacred to him, a wound that never healed, and now it had been turned into a photo backdrop. He couldn't understand how she could smile there, holding a camera, acting like the tragedy never happened. People who were there later said the fight that followed was loud, intense, and impossible to hide. Harry's voice could be heard through the walls of their hotel room. He demanded to know why she did it, why she would film there of all places. Meghan tried to explain that she didn't mean any harm, that it was about being strong, not being disrespectful, but her words only made him angrier. He felt mocked, exposed, and embarrassed in the city that had taken his mother away. People close to them say he left the room before sunrise, slamming the door behind him. By morning, hotel staff were whispering that the marriage had reached its breaking point, because Harry had trusted her with the one pain he never lets the world see. And Meghan, she filmed a video right on top of it. To understand Harry's anger, you have to understand his heart. He isn't just a prince. He's a son who watched his mother die because of cameras. He's a husband who gave up a lifetime of royal duty for the promise of peace. But peace never came. When he met Meghan, he believed love could heal old wounds, that she could be his safe place, someone who understood pain, the cruelty of the press, and the loneliness of being famous. For a while, it worked. She was confident, charming, and bold in ways he'd never dared to be. But with each year away from the royal family, Harry found himself becoming further from who he used to be. The boy who once saluted his mother's coffin had grown into a man constantly fighting for control of his image, his marriage, and his mental health. And now, after Paris, that control was slipping away. Harry once said he left the royal family for love, that it was his choice. But those who know the real story say it wasn't that simple. It was an ultimatum disguised as affection. Sources claim Meghan made it clear early on. Life with her meant staying away from the royal institution. He could have his family, or he could have peace with her, but not both. And so he walked away from the palace that raised him, away from his brother, away from the only life he'd ever known. At first it felt like freedom, California sunshine, instead of gray London skies, privacy, family, and independence. But as time went on, the dream got blurry. The endless interviews, the business deals, the media cycles, it all started to feel like another kind of prison. Only this time he built it himself. The Paris video was more than just a bad choice. It was like looking in a mirror. It showed Harry what he'd given up and what he'd gotten in return. Isolation, exhaustion, and a marriage now cracking under its own pressure. He had traded a kingdom for love, but standing in the aftermath of that Paris night, it was hard to tell if love had saved him or destroyed him. Those who've known Meghan the longest say her story has always followed the same pattern: warmth, connection, and then silence. When she first comes into someone's life, she's magnetic. She listens carefully. She compliments people. She reflects back their dreams. But when the relationship no longer helps her, the warmth disappears. She moves on without looking back. Trevor Engelson learned that lesson after giving her 11 years of his life, from struggling actress to TV success. He was there through the auditions, the rejections, and the first big break. But once Meghan found her footing, she was gone. The end came as suddenly as a slammed door. Then came Corey Vitiello, the charming Canadian chef, and Jessica Mulroney, once her closest friend. Both quietly disappeared from her world, left behind without explanation. Even her father, the man who once called her the light of my life, now watches her from interviews, confused and heartbroken. Every bridge burned in the same quiet flame. Personal relationships traded for new beginnings. To some people, it's ambition. To others, it's calculated planning. And that's why those close to Harry fear this story has only one ending. The same pattern that followed her through Hollywood, Toronto, and London has now reached Montecito. Only this time, the stakes are royal. Harry gave her the one thing none of the others could: a crown, a title, and a stage big enough to hold her ambitions. But as the cracks get wider, people are beginning to wonder if even that will be enough to keep her around. Those who know Harry well say he sat alone that night watching the video frame by frame. The streetlights of Paris reflected in his eyes as if they were mocking him. He couldn't understand how someone who claimed to love him could turn the sight of his deepest loss into a backdrop. And as if to make things even worse, whispers began spreading that Meghan was saying the video symbolized healing, that she represented the woman who made it out of the tunnel, while Diana did not. To Harry, that thought was unbearable. The idea that his wife saw herself as a mirror to his mother, one living, one dead, made him sick. And somewhere deep down, Harry realized that some wounds don't heal. They only find new ways to hurt. Weeks after the Paris disaster, Meghan and Harry were scheduled to receive a humanitarian award. On paper, it was a celebration. In reality, it felt like punishment. People close to them say Harry dreaded the event. He knew every camera would be on them, every movement. Analyzed Meghan, however, treated it like just another premiere. Hair perfect, smile rehearsed, dress chosen to impress. Behind closed doors, Harry reportedly told his staff he didn't want to go, but staying home would only create more rumors. So he went. Side by side, they walked onto the red carpet, but the air between them was ice cold. He offered his arm. She didn't take it. To the cameras, they looked great. To those standing nearby, it was clear this was a couple playing roles they no longer believed in. As they accepted the award, Harry's face said everything words couldn't. The applause sounded empty. The speech was memorized. It wasn't honor they were collecting that night. It was damage control, and everyone could see it. When the applause faded, the silence at home grew louder. Staff in Montecito noticed the change immediately. Harry spent more time in his study reading old letters from his mother. Meghan filled her days with projects, meetings, and new ventures. The two, once inseparable, now lived separate lives. Those close to them describe a pattern. Short periods of calm, followed by explosive arguments. Harry wanted distance from the spotlight. Meghan wanted control of it. Each interview, each public appearance became a negotiation. He reportedly told a friend, "I keep putting out fires I didn't start." He'd grown tired of defending choices he never made. The man once known for his laughter now walked around with quiet resentment. The world saw the headlines, happy, united, thriving. But behind those walls, something was breaking, something that love alone could no longer hold together. Inside Buckingham Palace, the whispers had begun. Royal courtiers and senior staff debated what to do. Harry still held his titles. Duke of Sussex, HRH by birth, and Meghan by marriage shared the same privileges. But those privileges carried weight, and the king's patience was running thin. Some argued stripping their titles would finally draw a line. Others feared it would look mean-spirited, feeding Meghan's claims of being persecuted. The palace, caught between public image and order, hesitated. Yet within royal circles, one sentiment kept coming up. The Queen warned us. Before her death, she'd quietly adjusted certain royal rules, limiting how the couple could use royal styling. But enforcement had faded under Charles's softer approach. To the monarchy, this was no longer about ceremony. It was about control, the survival of an institution that could no longer afford scandal. To Harry, it meant something deeper. Those titles were the last bridge to his past, the only thread connecting him to his family. Losing them wouldn't just be political, it would be personal. And for a man already drifting, it could be the final cut that separates him completely. In one lifetime, Prince Harry has lost 2 worlds and 2 women to the same thing, the camera. One, his mother died running from it. The other, his wife, lives for it. That cruel irony haunts him every day. Those who've seen him lately describe a man quieter than ever. The sparkle once in his eyes has dimmed to something distant. He still smiles for the photos, but the warmth is gone. The cost of loyalty, it seems, was himself. Behind closed doors, he's said to replay old videos of Diana, her laugh, her kindness, her chaos. And sometimes when the house is silent, he wonders whether he's repeating her story or erasing it. Because that's the cruel truth. The cameras never stop. They didn't stop when Diana cried. They didn't stop when Meghan filmed, and they won't stop now. Harry stands caught between 2 shadows, the one cast by the woman who gave him life, and the one created by the woman he chose to share it with. The boy who once walked behind his mother's coffin dreamed of freedom. The man he's become is still walking just behind a different kind of loss. And yet, somewhere beneath the exhaustion, there's still a flicker of the old prince. The soldier, the son, the rebel who refuses to disappear. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that every royal tragedy ends the same way. Not with a crash, but with a silence so heavy it tells its own story. The world watches, waiting to see whether this silence is the end of his chapter or the beginning of his redemption.